Beginner Laser Project 17. We're going to make a very simple engraved sign on very inexpensive cedar. And what this is a piece of a cedar fence picket that you can buy at your local home store, whether it be, I bought mine at Menards. You may not have a Menards by you. Lowe's, Home Depot, either one of those places that carry these cedar fence pickets. They're nominal 5.5 inches wide. This one's 5 1/4. And 6 feet tall, and a nominal 1/2 inch thick, although they generally run about 5/8. So by the time you either plane them or sand them smooth, should you decide you want a smooth sign, they'll be more like 1/2 inch. I've cut this one here down to 13 inches, and I've put some little corners on it. We're going to make a very, very simple sign. I'm going to take you on the computer here and show you how to do the layout. And you can make this sign say anything you want. However, the sign we're making here, and you'll see what it is here in a minute. It's meant to be a little bit of tongue-in-cheek comedy. No, not nasty. There will be a link in the description where you can go on our website. You can actually download the Lightburn file and just make the sign. So let's go to the computer. I'll show you how we get this laid out. So we've got Lightburn open here. I'm using the Dakota L1 laser because it was handy and it's 10 watt. That's what I wanted to base this video on, is a 10 watt laser. So what I want to do first here is make myself a box. This is going to be the tool path. Make it any size you want there. We'll go up here, unlock this little padlock. Okay, so our piece is 13 inches wide and 5 1/4, 5.25 wide. Go down here to T1, make that tool path. So what this does is it gives you a place to lay out your project. And if you click on this little guy right across right here, it'll put it right in the center. So now I need to grab me some text, and you can make this anything you want. You can make it say anything you want. So but what I'm going to do is the font I'm using is called Snap ITC. You can use any font you want. So my first words here are private, sign. Okay, that's obviously too big, but we can fix that. Go up here to this. This is going to be fill, and we're going to be doing that at, we're on cedar, so I want 3,000 millimeters per minute, 90% power. If you're using a different wattage laser, you'll have to adjust accordingly, or a different type of material. This gives a good dark burn on cedar. So now we need to get this down to size. So I'm going to change my width of this to 12, I believe. Now I do have some dog ears on this sign, so I can't go right up to the very top. So now I need to start another line of text. Private sign, do not read. Go back up here, we'll highlight that. Bring it over. So this is what our sign will look like. Now you can make some minor adjustments there with font height. If you would take this and unlock it, let's say I want to make that 1.25. Notice that it changes the font appearance a little bit. I'm going to make them both the same. So you can play around with that and make it how you like. I think I may scooch this over just a hair. And I may take that down just a hair. So, I like that. So now we'll get into setting this up on the laser. I have a layout grid on all of my lasers. It just makes it easier to lay a project out. I am working from what they call absolute coordinates. This laser does have limit switches, so I can do that. And I always start my project from center, and therefore I can center my workpiece on the board, and it'll be in the right place every time. All I have to do is make it square. There we go. So as you saw, we have a tool path. So what I'm going to do is frame this so that we can make sure that the project is within that frame. Now I have my laser set rather slow for framing, so if I need to make any adjustments, I can make them kind of on the fly instead of framing real fast and not having the opportunity to make any little shifts. So we should have roughly a quarter or an inch on each end. Actually an inch and a quarter on each end. This is a 13.5 inch long piece, but I sized my tool path at 12. No, I just sized it at 13. So I have a ½ inch at each end, quarter inch, and we do. So that's where it'll start from. Now all I need to do is hit start, and I do have air assist on because that reduces any scorching. We'll get this started and let it go. So how long is it going to take? Total engraved time on this is 41 minutes. And that's using fill. So offset fill is 35 minutes, and yeah, it takes a little bit less time, but as I mentioned, it also gives you a better looking graphic. Of course, I'm not going to video the entire burn here. We'll just check back on it periodically. You can see how things are looking. I should have also mentioned to make sure you focus your laser to your workpiece before you start. Don't forget that step. As you can see on the offset fill, it follows the shape and it doesn't just keep going back and forth. And it makes a more interesting looking engraved when you look at the grain within where it's been engraved, at least on cedar. One of the things I look for when I'm making these signs is a nice dark engraved, and this will be coated with a spar urethane because it'll be used outdoors. But I like that dark color, and cedar really gives that to you. If you're using pine, you can coat it with a borax solution, let it dry, and that'll give you a little bit darker engraved. That's a subject of a whole nother video. As you can see, this one's coming out real well. This does create a lot of smoke, so you want to make sure you're in a well ventilated area. I have two of the shop doors open, and I actually have a fan behind me, so I don't even smell this, but I know that this makes a lot of smoke. Done a lot of cedar signs in the past. If you're going to have your doors open, which is a good idea, what you do not want to have is the sun shining on the laser. Because if your laser, and most do, has a flame sensor, the ultraviolet light from the sun will trip that sensor, and then you'll wonder why your laser isn't working or why it stops. Found that out the hard way here a couple years ago. So you want to make sure you don't have the sun shining on your laser. Of course, I got to put my little safety thing in there. Don't leave your laser unattended. That doesn't mean you have to sit there and stare at it while it's doing everything. However, if you're new to this, you're going to want to sit there and watch it work. So make sure you wear protective eyewear. This is what I wear, because I have prescription glasses. Even though it has a shield, if you sit there and stare at that beam and then you look away, you're going to see a dot. And that's obviously harming your eyes. So wear the safety glasses. I'll put a link in the description for these here. These are made by Cloud Ray. Not sponsored by them. I bought them, and they are not cheap. They are the correct color, and they are made for this type of laser. And they fit perfectly over prescription glasses and are comfortable. And they don't fog up. Okay, coming down the home stretch here, just about done. Say another little bit here, and that'll be complete, and I'll show you what we're going to do with it next. And so there it is. I'll get that off of there and get some coating on it. So what do you do with it next? Well, the first thing you do is you blow it a little bit with a air gun or an air hose or something like that to blow off any soot. Don't be tempted to rub on that because you'll spread that black around that's inside the letters. Okay, coating. I am going to use a spar urethane. That's right here. I'm going to use a gloss on this, made by Helmsman, indoor, outdoor, spar urethane. If you're going to use it just indoors, you don't need to use a spar varnish. You could use a lacquer, or you could use a Mod Podge finish, or you could use just regular polyurethane. What I'll do is I'll put several coats of this on, sprayed. If you want to put a brush coat on or something, make sure that your first coat seals it as a spray, because if you brush through those letters, you will brush that black out of there and you'll have black smeared all over the place. So just how I know that. Make that first coat fairly light and overlap it and let it flash before you put any more on. And this spray Helmsman dries pretty fast. It'll flash quickly, especially as since it's almost 90 degrees. So as you can see, that's already flashed. I can hit it with another coat here. Now I'll let that dry completely before I put another coat on it. So there it is. It's a simple project. It's a great thing to get started on and get acquainted with your laser. This, as I said, these cedar fence pickets are not expensive. I think a 6-foot one is under $5. I don't remember what I paid for them. I usually buy 20 or 30 at a time, because we do quite a few of these different types of signs. But just something to get you started. And this was beginner laser project, I think 17. And there's been a gap in time between like 15 and then 16 and 17, because our primary business here is nursery and greenhouses. In spring and early summer, we're just very busy, so I didn't have time to do a whole lot. But as we get into late summer here and towards fall, we do a lot of this stuff for the holidays, and they're very, very popular. And if you come up with novel little signs with novel little sayings, it'll be a sure seller. So what do you sell one of them for? Easily get 10 bucks for that. And not really that much time in it. When I cut these, I cut them in batches and we run them as a production. I don't cut these one at a time. We do a lot of them all at once. So that's something else to keep in mind if you're looking at a time study thing for what it costs you to make a project. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. If you'd like to make that particular sign, there'll be a link in the description where you can go to our website and download the Lightburn file. It's all set up for half-inch cedar, and there's no charge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.